The following program contains reenactments. Some names have been changed to protect identities.
She's going to have a baby right now.
How could a woman not know she's pregnant?
I'm quite a slim build. I've never put weight on him.
Help me!
4 women. 4 shocking and unexpected pregnancies.
And there was my little girl laying in the toilet looking at me.
There's another baby in here.
What?
How could a full-term pregnancy go unnoticed?
I did a home pregnancy test, and it came up negative. And about a month later, I did another one, and it was negative.
Did the mothers unknowingly risk their babies' lives?
I should have known. How could you not know?
"25-year-old Niamh Farrell has a hectic life in Ireland as the lead singer of rock band Ham Sandwich, which keeps her at a skinny 112 pounds.
Life was kind of just full of doing stuff for the band, you know, touring and getting singles out.
Touring with her band and life with her boyfriend Derek Byrne keeps the couple far too busy to consider marriage and a family.
I always wanted to have a child. Niamh had as well, but, you know, she wanted to maybe wait a few years.
Niamh was definitely not trying to have a baby.
Niamh and Derek use condoms, but Niamh's periods have always been irregular. So when Niamh misses her period in October, she thinks nothing of it.
My cycle was always irregular. That continued on like that, but a kind of a small period and then maybe a heavy period.
Looks like someone's up and about. You feeling all right?
I've been so tired.
What do you say we get out of here and go for a little walk?
Over the next 5 months, Niamh's periods continue to be inconsistent. She notices some fatigue, but experiences no nausea or mood swings. Nothing to suggest that anything is out of the ordinary. By March, although she has had no unusual food cravings, Niamh notices that she's gained about 7 pounds. Since she is still a small 119 pounds, she doesn't think much of the weight gain.
I'm quite a slim build. I did get a tiny bit of a belly, but put that down to just eating junk food, being on tour, you know.
She seemed to gain weight, but I didn't really notice because it wasn't an awful lot of weight. It just looked like she kind of put on a slight bit more weight.
During the next few months, Niamh continues touring with the band. She's still often tired, but she doesn't detect any unusual movements in her abdomen, doesn't have swollen feet or frequent urination. Then, that June, Niamh is suddenly overwhelmed by painful cramps in her abdomen.
Derek!
It's nothing like I've ever felt before.
Niamh, what's wrong?
I'm in so much pain.
I mean, I thought maybe my appendix had burst.
My girlfriend, she's sick. I don't know what the problem is. She's on the couch, she's in pain.
Since Niamh is so thin, her symptoms suggest that she could be having appendicitis or an extreme case of food poisoning. The hospital gives her a urine pregnancy test as a precaution.
I actually thought for a second that I wasn't going to be able to leave the bathroom. I was in so much pain, I couldn't move.
Her pain gives way to shock when the urine test reveals that Niamh is pregnant.
Pregnant? Congratulations.
I reacted with just absolute silence. She was telling me that I was pregnant, but she didn't tell me why I was in pain.
The nurse has yet to determine how far along Niamh is in her pregnancy. And if she is expecting, why is she in so much pain? Is there something wrong with the baby? Is Niamh having a miscarriage?
I'm going to have to speak to Niamh by herself, so if you wouldn't mind standing outside for a moment.
I'll be right outside. Don't be afraid. Everything's going to be all right.
The doctor conducts an ultrasound to determine what is causing Niamh's pain and if it could be affecting the health of her baby.
She said, I've got something to tell you, and I was, you know, loads of things are flying through my head, like, you know, I'm thinking the worst, basically. I'm thinking, okay, I'm in so much pain, like, is this woman going to tell you that I'm dying?
But the doctor's news is not what she expects.
I can see that the baby's head is already in the birth canal. No, I need you to keep calm, Niamh. What this means is you're going to have a baby and you're going to have it now.
119-pound Niamh Farrell is about 35 weeks along in her pregnancy. She's already in labor, and she never even knew she was pregnant.
How is it possible?
She said you're fully dilated and you're in labour now. Just in utter shock, basically.
We need to get her prepped for emergency transfer.
That's when it started to get kind of a bit scary.
Niamh's lack of prenatal care, in combination with her slim build, lead doctors to believe that the health of both baby and mother could be in jeopardy.
Women who are very thin, the baby is already at risk for being growth restricted and at higher risk for delivering early.
To make matters worse, Niamh lifted heavy musical instruments, and she drank and smoked throughout her entire pregnancy.
If a mother is extremely thin, and in addition to that, she's smoking and drinking, this baby is almost for sure going to develop problems with growth restriction, higher risk of high blood pressure during pregnancy, higher risk of placental complications and premature delivery.
Niamh is immediately administered nitrous oxide. In Ireland, it is a standard course of pain management for women in labor. But for Niamh, it does little to numb the pain.
Give me a little push. Good girl, Niamh.
She pushes for less than an hour, and then her water breaks.
One more, one again. One more time.
It's almost over.
Congratulations, you've got a beautiful little boy.
She vaginally delivers a 5-pound, 2-ounce boy they name Oscar.
I remember him crying, and I was surprised at myself. I think it was because I was in so much shock and I had so many other emotions in my head that I just remember Derek crying.
Doctors cut the umbilical cord, then estimate baby Oscar is about 4 weeks premature. Fortunately, in spite of the fact that Niamh didn't have any prenatal care, Oscar turns out to be a perfectly healthy baby.
I think the miracle about it is that everything was okay.
It all happened so fast. You get a call, and she's like, I just had a baby boy this morning. Just pure shock. There was no real telltale signs.
Although Derek and Niamh used condoms, Niamh got pregnant the previous fall.
The failure rate for condoms, if they're used perfectly, meaning with every act of intercourse, is only about 1 to 5%. However, most couples, when they use condoms, do not use them necessarily religiously, so the true rate of pregnancies with condom use is about 20%.
Since Niamh had remained so thin and had no symptoms, the couple never suspected pregnancy.
I was looking at Niamh, and she just did not look like a pregnant woman to me. The symptoms weren't there.
I didn't have nausea or morning sickness. I didn't have any cravings at all.
Nausea and bloating are common symptoms of pregnancy, but not all women experience symptoms of pregnancy. In fact, many women report feeling no symptoms at all aside from the growing abdomen.
Niamh did notice weight gain in her belly, but she never considered pregnancy as a possibility.
I was this slim girl who just put on a bit of weight on her stomach from not very good diet.
It is possible that a petite woman weighing about 119 pounds may misinterpret the growth of her belly as other issues unrelated to pregnancy.
Additionally, Niamh's periods had always been irregular, and she continued to have infrequent spotting during her pregnancy.
If a woman's pregnant, she can experience bleeding throughout the pregnancy, which could be mistaken for periods.
Today, Oscar Byrne is a happy and healthy 4-month-old.
You know, it's amazing what a new life can do in a family.
It's a whole experience. I mean, it just brought everybody together. As Derek's man said, like, it happened for a reason.
Still to come.
I could not believe I just had a baby. And he went, ma'am, you have another baby in there. What?
True or false? For most pregnant women, having their water break is the first sign of labor. The answer when we return. True or false? For most pregnant women, having their water break is the first sign of labor. Answer: false. For most, the water does not break on its own. The medical practitioner will break the water once labor has already begun. Tragically, when Dawn Pinnell was 19 years old, she was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, a condition that puts her at a high risk of infertility.
I was told at 19 that it would never happen.
Your body is ovulating at an extremely high temperature.
Okay, so what does that mean then?
It means that your body is destroying its own eggs. It's quite unlikely that you'll be able to get pregnant.
The news was just heartbreaking to me.
At age 34, Dawn is now married to Keith Pinnell. Sadly, the couple has had to come to terms with Dawn's infertility.
I was never trying to have a child.
How do I look?
Fantastic.
Dawn has 1 or 2 periods a year and some occasional spotting.
My menstrual cycles were nil to none, would be a good explanation.
Both Dawn and her husband take it for granted that she can never get pregnant and do not use any method of birth control. In May of 2005, Dawn loses her job at a call center. A few weeks later, still unable to find work, Dawn begins experiencing mood swings.
I think it was the depression because I'm 34 years old and I'm not working.
I am headed to work. I got a big day today. Wish me luck.
Oh, good luck. Happy.
For the next 6 months, Dawn doesn't get her period at all, but her cycles have always been infrequent. Besides, Dawn has no fatigue, nausea, increased urination, or unusual movements in her belly. But Dawn does experience weight gain and mood swings, symptoms she and her husband attribute to continued unemployment.
The changes in her body, personality, never even struck me. I thought she was depressed.
I was pretty much a couch potato, and the weight gain was maybe 35 pounds.
Dawn was told at 19 that it was impossible for her to bear children. So when she develops food cravings and digestive problems, it never occurs to her that she may be pregnant.
I had heartburn, and I always wrote that off to being ice cream because every time I ate ice cream, I seemed to have heartburn.
You okay?
Since Dawn only gets her periods once or twice a year, she does not suspect pregnancy even when there is movement in her stomach.
I did feel like motions. I wrote it up to gas. And me and my husband did kind of make a joke that I had like a little alien inside.
The little alien's back.
4 months after becoming unemployed, Dawn is still depressed and moody, so Keith puts her to work.
I had her helping remodel my mom and dad's cows.
I was carrying block, tile, anything heavy. I was wheeling wheelbarrows. I was shoveling dirt.
And there were days where she was very emotional. You know, Keith would say something to her and she'd cry.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
We just thought that Dawn was depressed.
By late 2005, Dawn finally finds a job working at a call center. She believes that the stress of her new position is affecting her health.
Customer service, this is Dawn. How may I direct your call?
In November, I got sick. I was feeling runny nose, cough. My throat was really sore. I could barely talk.
Then, in January of 2006, Dawn's health takes a turn for the worse.
I woke up feeling the worst pain. It started in my back, and it felt like someone was just trying to rip me into pieces.
Oh, baby, we gotta get you to the hospital.
Okay.
Little does Dawn know that her trip to the ER would change the course of her life forever. Still to come.
I feel like I have to push.
There was my little girl laying in the toilet looking at me.
True or false, a home pregnancy test can give a false positive if you wait too long to check the results. The answer when we return. True or false, a home pregnancy test can give a false positive if you wait too long to check the results. Answer, true. If the urine evaporates from the test strip, the color may change to show a positive result, even if you aren't pregnant. Sadly, Dawn Pinnell's dreams of bearing children were extinguished when she was just 19 years old.
I can't get pregnant?
She was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome that made it virtually impossible for her to get pregnant.
Nothing would ever come about that I could become the mom that I wanted to be.
So at the age of 34, when Dawn starts experiencing mood swings, digestive problems, and weight gain, she attributes it to stress from her continuing unemployment.
The changes in my weight, I could base it on being depressed.
Now, after 8 months of not feeling well, Dawn is in the emergency room with excruciating stomach pains.
When did your last menstrual cycle start?
I don't even know. It's been irregular.
Since Dawn has been diagnosed as infertile, neither Dawn nor the doctor suspect pregnancy.
Hi, guys. Hey. Okay, so the good news is you do not have kidney failure.
And he said that it's a muscle mass in my left side of my back.
All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
The doctor discharges Dawn, prescribing painkillers for an irritated muscle in her back. But 2 days later, on Friday the 13th, Dawn's condition takes a terrifying turn.
I've never seen a person in more pain.
I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't lay, I couldn't do nothing.
So we went to the old person we thought would be Dr. Jeff Enzel, our chiropractor.
I hear you're not doing so well. Tell me kind of what's going on.
A lot of pain on the left side, concentrated like right here.
I was assuming that the psoas muscle, especially on the left side, was really, really tight on her.
What I'd like to do today is go ahead and give you an adjustment and see if I can bring you some relief that way.
Okay.
Tell me if it's too hard.
He said, okay, well, we're getting a little bit better.
But the relief is short-lived.
The pain was not getting any better. It was getting much worse.
I can't take it anymore.
Dr. Wenzel wonders if Dawn's body may have reacted to her last adjustment and possibly caused a bowel obstruction due to nerve root pressure in her lower back.
She really hadn't had a consistent bowel movement in approximately a week's period of time. And I said, perhaps utilizing an enema may do something to break everything loose.
I got a suppository, inserted it, she laid back down. Probably a half hour later, all of a sudden she goes, I'm finally feeling something.
I think it's ready.
I'm scared, nervous, panicking.
Kate! I feel like I have to push.
And he goes, baby, push it. And I said, okay. The pain was just unbearable. I felt like my insides were coming out. So I pushed it out, and I was just yelling and screaming that I had relief. Finally, the pain was gone. Hallelujah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just about ready to get up to go back to bed when I heard a cry.
You hear that?
Hear what? And I said, hear what?
And I said, I heard a cry. I said, are the coyotes running hard tonight?
I don't hear it.
So we sat there, and I heard a cry. And I stood up from the toilet, and I looked down. And there was my little girl laying in the toilet looking at me.
Dawn's water must have broken while she was on the toilet, where she managed to give birth without an epidural or any other pain medication.
I gotcha.
Miraculously, the 6-pound baby is breathing.
Call 911, Keith.
Okay.
The umbilical cord came loose, and so I wrapped it up and I just held her tight and told her that I loved her.
She's gonna be okay?
At the point when we got to the hospital, she wasn't breathing properly. So they had went ahead and put her in an oxygen tank.
Doctors determined that the baby is 5 weeks premature. To make matters worse, she is dangerously ill.
I do wish I would have known I was pregnant. I just know something was wrong with her.
If Dawn had known she was pregnant, she would have had prenatal testing, and they would have found that she was positive for Group B strep bacteria, which, if not treated, can make an infant very sick and can even cause death.
Group B streptococcus, which is carried in the vagina of many women, it can be passed on to the baby during delivery and cause acute infection.
Doctors would have treated Dawn with an antibiotic to prevent the bacteria from infecting her newborn. Not knowing she was pregnant and delivering at home has threatened her baby's life.
The strep virus that I had, unfortunately, was passed on to her. So she was given antibiotics every morning and every evening in the NICU.
Finally, after 10 days in the NICU, Ariel Pannell is healthy enough to go home. Miraculously, she suffered no permanent damage from the strep infection.
I know what's happening.
So how is it that Dawn never knew she was pregnant?
I wrote it up to getting the devastating news that I would never be able to bear a child, and you never saw the baby bump.
Oh my goodness.
Dawn's period was practically non-existent throughout her pregnancy.
When my coworkers or my friends ask me, how the heck did you guys not know this? I tell them that Dawn never had a normal period in her life, so nothing ever even triggered.
Even in women who rarely have menstrual cycles, they do ovulate from time to time, and as long as they have intercourse around that time, they can get pregnant.
Dawn most likely conceived in May, shortly after becoming unemployed. Dawn was told at 19 that it was impossible for her to get pregnant, so when she experienced mood swings, food cravings, weight gain, and even movement in her stomach, she blamed it on the stress of unemployment.
They always say you have signs, you always know that you are, but I still can't explain why I didn't know.
A woman being overweight can mask the signs of pregnancy. She may not notice protrusion of the abdomen as the uterus is growing, and she may feel the movement of the baby less than someone who's normal weight.
How could doctors have missed her pregnancy? Perhaps Dawn's history of infertility is what threw them off track. Dr. Wenzel, Dawn's chiropractor, also relied on his knowledge of Dawn's health history. Fortunately, the adjustments were in no way damaging to Dawn or the baby. Had he known Dawn was pregnant, he would have simply changed the position of her treatment to make her more comfortable.
The possible bowel obstruction that I palpated and a slight movement of it could have been the baby turning and dropping into the birth canal. It all made sense after the fact.
After Ariel's birth, Dawn experiences another medical surprise.
I'm now a normal 28-day menstrual cycle woman.
It's not completely understood why that happens, but it's thought to be sort of a resetting of the mechanisms that drive ovulation, which come from the brain and then go down to the ovaries.
The song When We Got Married were the maids. I was the maids when I met her. And it all started again in my head at 10:37 on Friday the 13th when she gave birth to our beautiful daughter. Do you know what that is?
A door.
2.5 years later, Ariel Pannell shows no signs of trauma from her dramatic arrival.
There's a reason Ariel was here.
I could finally be a mom. One of my goals in life. To be a mom to my own child.
What's the other two colors?
I felt love and just utter happiness, all wrapped up in one.
Still to come.
Couldn't believe I already had one, and now he's telling me I'm having another baby.
True or false, women in their 30s and 40s are more likely to become pregnant with twins than women in their 20s. The answer when we return. True or false, women in their 30s and 40s are more likely to become pregnant with twins than women in their 20s. The answer, true. As women age, they tend to produce higher amounts of follicle-stimulating hormone, which is the hormone that drives the ovaries to produce mature eggs. Amanda Brisendine's history of ovarian cysts led to the removal of one of her ovaries at the age of 23.
I first found out I had ovarian cysts when one of them exploded.
In the years following her surgery, Amanda's history of cysts still causes her periods to be irregular.
I missed a month and then I missed 2 months, but that was normal for me.
Amanda does not use birth control because she believes the removal of one of her ovaries made her infertile.
I really honestly didn't think I was able to have children.
However, at 25, Amanda gets pregnant and gives birth to her daughter, Melody.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Thank you.
I thought she was the lucky exception to me having kids. I didn't think it was possible.
A year after her daughter's birth, she's still seeing her daughter's father, but they are just dating. The young mother gets her period about every other month, but she starts using condoms just in case. The year that Amanda turns 26, the single mom and part-time student goes to school by day and struggles to make ends meet by working at a grocery store at night.
Wow, you've been packing it on a little bit there, honey, huh?
Amanda gains nearly 40 pounds over the next 8 months. She's been struggling with her weight ever since the birth of her daughter, Melody, less than a year ago. Amanda now believes that her battle to quit smoking has made dieting even more difficult.
I had tried to quit smoking, so I was eating more.
Come on, we gotta get the stuff in.
God, give me a second.
That's okay.
Amanda also believes that her grandmother Claudia's cooking is to blame.
She would tell people, well, the reason she gained weight was because I used a lot of butter and sugar and stuff, which is not true.
Over the next few months, Amanda does not experience food cravings, frequent urination, nausea, or movement in her belly, as she did with her first pregnancy. She continues to believe that her weight gain is from quitting smoking.
I'm home. We're in here, honey.
In late October 2006, Amanda begins experiencing severe abdominal cramping.
It started in my sides where it was with my ovary. It was just like a constant twisting. It was horrible.
That's it. We're going to the doctor.
When she arrives at the urgent care center, Amanda describes her symptoms to the doctor on duty.
The pain's making it hard to stand. It was just like a constant throbbing.
The doctor orders a urine pregnancy test.
Could you be pregnant?
No. In my mind, there was just no possibility that I was pregnant.
Instead, Amanda receives a surprising diagnosis.
You are, in fact, pregnant.
It was a shock when she said that I was pregnant.
Doctors order an ultrasound to confirm the findings.
Amanda, this looks like normal, healthy development for a baby of 37 weeks.
37 weeks?
It actually took a few minutes before I realized that 37 weeks is pretty close to 40 weeks, and that's the end of your pregnancy.
I haven't had any prenatal care.
I felt a little bit guilty because I should have known. How could you not know?
Just take a seat there.
Hey, how's she doing?
Hi.
The nurse said she's fine, except that she's going to have a baby.
She's 37 weeks pregnant.
37.
There's nothing that would have prepared me for having a baby in 3 weeks.
We have no crib, we have no bed, we have no clothes, we have nothing for the baby.
So, Amanda, I hear you just got some shocking news. Is the baby gonna be okay? Well, we'll get you started on some prenatal vitamins right away.
Since Amanda didn't know she was pregnant, she has had no prenatal care, and she has done nothing to adjust her lifestyle to protect the health of the fetus.
I was lifting a lot of heavy things, which I wouldn't have done, so yeah, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done if I'd known.
Really, the best thing for you to do right now is go home and get some rest.
The doctor orders extensive tests to monitor the health of the baby. She diagnoses Amanda's pains as false labor, early contractions that mimic true labor and can occur as early as the second trimester.
No, but I had no idea.
Going home that night, I was kind of in a daze. I decided to call the father. He was shocked. He actually thought that I was lying to him.
Hey, can you hold on? I'm getting another call. Hello?
The doctor has reviewed her tests and is gravely concerned that the life of Amanda's baby could be in jeopardy.
Is the baby gonna be okay?
Still to come.
I recommend an emergency C-section.
When?
Right now.
It was a really hard surprise to deal with. You know, shocked I was pregnant.
True or false, women should gain less than 20 pounds during their pregnancy? The answer when we return. True or false, women should gain less than 20 pounds during their pregnancy? Answer, false. Average-sized women should gain 25 to 35 pounds, underweight women should gain 28 to 40 pounds, and overweight women should gain 15 to 25 pounds. 26-year-old Amanda Brizendine has just learned that she is 37 weeks pregnant.
37 weeks?
It was a really hard surprise to deal with.
After being sent home with a due date 3 weeks away, Amanda gets an urgent call asking her to return to the hospital.
Is the baby gonna be okay?
The fluid around the baby was real low, and they were worried that, there might be a problem.
Amniotic fluid is the fluid inside the sac that the baby is living in during the entire pregnancy. If it is severely low, it can actually affect the lung development of the baby and can actually also affect development of the arms and the legs.
We are a little bit concerned about your amniotic sac. Baby isn't moving as much as we'd like to see it. I recommend an emergency C-section.
When?
Right now.
Mostly I remember them rolling me from one table and then staring up at this big bright light.
Numb from the epidural, Amanda is unable to move, feel, or see anything. Doctors perform a C-section and break her water through the incision. Then the umbilical cord is cut and the newborn is immediately removed from the operating room.
You did a really good job.
After he was done, they told me that I'd done a really good job, but I couldn't figure out what I'd done. Nobody was in my room with me, and so, yeah, the waiting was horrible.
Since Amanda didn't know she was pregnant, she indulged in behaviors that could have harmed her baby.
Want one? You know you do. Come on.
God, you're right.
I was still smoking, probably a good half pack a day.
Someone who smokes during pregnancy is at a higher risk for having miscarriages. There may be some association with heart defects. They're at a high risk for preterm delivery and placental issues.
After what feels like years, he does arrive. Miraculously, even at 3 weeks premature, 7-pound, 5-ounce Alexander is a perfectly healthy baby boy.
The waiting was hard, but once I saw him, it was just like, that's my son. There was like this warm, fuzzy feeling, and it was great.
He was so perfect looking when I saw him that I had no worries about any health problems.
How is it possible for Amanda to not have known that she was pregnant?
I'm not sure. It would be hard to believe. I think a lot of people felt that way about me, but, it's just something that happened.
He's perfect.
Amanda most likely got pregnant when the condoms she was using failed.
I figured that the condom didn't work because I don't remember not using one.
One of the reasons why Amanda never suspected pregnancy is because her periods have always been irregular.
I'd miss 2 or 3 months, and that would be no big deal. And when I missed a month or two and I just spot it for a few days, that was normal for me.
It is possible for a woman to be pregnant and still have bleeding. They may think they're having their periods, but in fact, they may actually be having bleeding that's related to the pregnancy.
Amanda also never experienced any of the symptoms she felt during her first pregnancy: increased urination, nausea, or even fetal movement.
I don't know why he didn't move. I don't know why I didn't have the same symptoms with him that I had with my first pregnancy.
Every pregnancy is different. Even the same woman will have different symptoms with different pregnancies.
Today, the woman who once believed her ovarian cysts made it impossible to get pregnant is the proud mother of 2 healthy children.
I have my boy and I have my girl, and I'm happy.
The father of both children sees them on a regular basis. At 2 years old, Alexander Joseph shows no signs that he once was so still in his mother's womb that she never knew that she was pregnant.
I'm not sure why he didn't move while I was pregnant. He has definitely made up for it now.
If people ask me, what's Alexander doing? And I said, if he's awake, he's in trouble.
Still to come.
What's wrong?
There's another baby.
What? I'm already in shock that I have one baby, and I'm gonna have another baby.
True or false, pregnant women are more likely to develop a urinary tract infection. The answer when we return. True or false, pregnant women are more likely to develop a urinary tract infection. Answer, true. A pregnant woman can develop a UTI because of pressure on the bladder, which can prevent it from emptying completely, causing infection. Susan Bowes lost her husband to pneumonia in 1994, leaving the 34-year-old to raise her son Josh alone.
Mom, are you all right?
Yeah, honey, I'm fine.
She was not interested in having any more children. She was just trying to accept the fact that Larry was gone and taking care of Josh.
2 years after her husband's death, the 36-year-old has a new man in her life.
No, I should have been taking my birth control again, but I wasn't.
Susan's menstrual cycles have always been erratic. It's normal for her to go a month or more without getting her period. However, Susan hasn't been using birth control, so when she skips her cycle in January 1997, she decides to take a home pregnancy test.
And it came up negative. And about a month later, I did another one, and it was negative.
Over the next few months, Susan gets her period some months, but not others. She also manages to lose a few pounds.
She was small, smaller than she had been, in quite a while.
In June of 1997, 3 months after her second home pregnancy test was negative, Susan is getting ready to pick up her son Josh from her mother's house, when she is overwhelmed by sudden pain.
I just remember my stomach hurting bad, and my back was hurting really bad. I thought actually it was something with my colon.
Unable to pick up her son, the pain escalates until she has no choice but to call 911.
I thought, here I am alone, I'm dying. This is gonna be it right here.
I need an ambulance now.
The ER staff work to diagnose Susan's symptoms of intense back and stomach pain.
Are you pregnant?
No, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. No, I gotta go.
Susan.
We're gonna bring it to you, okay?
A nurse brings in a portable potty and clears the room to give her some privacy. But no matter how hard Susan tries to urinate, she can't. Instead, she begins experiencing incredibly strong pressure on her bladder and an even stronger urge to push.
It's like your body knows what to do, I guess. And I just kind of stood up over the little potty, just a little bit, and just pushed.
A few seconds later, Susan makes a stunning discovery. Her water breaks on its own, and she delivers a baby. She didn't even know she was pregnant.
I was just shocked. I could not believe I just had a baby.
Nurse, help me!
The newborn lands headfirst into the plastic portable potty. The force of the unassisted birth causes the umbilical cord to sever on its own.
And they all come racing back in, and I remember turning around, and there was blood everywhere.
Ma'am. Okay, baby. Okay.
Amazingly, within the last 6 months, Susan tested negative on 2 pregnancy tests. She never experienced any of the typical signs of pregnancy, like nausea or cravings. She even lost weight. What happens next is even more unbelievable.
Hi, I'm gonna be your doctor. I'm gonna check some things out.
As the doctor examines her, she discovers that the placenta is still inside. While using gentle traction on the umbilical cord to help Susan deliver the placenta, the doctor realizes there's a problem.
What's wrong?
the placenta will not come out.
That's a little strange.
If the placenta is not delivered or becomes fragmented, Susan could experience excessive blood loss.
I was worried for that immediately.
But the doctor quickly discovers why the placenta is not being expelled.
There's another baby in here.
What? No, how? How?
How could Susan Bowes not have known that she was pregnant and in labor with twins?
I'm already in shock that I have one baby, and now telling me I'm going to have another baby. I don't even know if I was there at that point.
Susan is rushed into the delivery room.
Another baby?
I need you to relax.
There is no time for pain medication.
And it was like he was just holding on, not wanting to let go, and all of a sudden he lost his grip, and it was like I could feel him going through a tunnel.
Baby, come on, one more time.
Excellent.
Here comes that.
The second water breaks on its own, and within minutes, Susan vaginally delivers a silent baby boy. Doctors cut the umbilical cord and assess his needs.
He never cried, and that worried me.
Naomi Michelle Bowes weighs 3 pounds 14 ounces, and Michael Larry Bowes weighs 4 pounds 14 ounces. They are about 2 months premature.
When you have a twin pregnancy, both of those babies are at a higher risk.
Doctors will have to take measures to stabilize the twins' weight. Unfortunately, this isn't the only risk the babies face. Susan didn't have any prenatal care and engaged in behavior not recommended for someone who is pregnant.
Well, when I was pregnant and didn't know it, I did smoke then. I wish I hadn't done that.
Twin pregnancies are already predisposed to having placental issues, and smoking can exacerbate these placental issues.
I was scared because they were just so teeny.
Miraculously, both twins fully recover from their surprising birth.
That's by all rights they shouldn't be here. And they were perfect. Nothing was wrong.
So how is it possible that Susan didn't know she was pregnant with twins?
You wouldn't think that she was pregnant. I was just shocked.
Susan most likely conceived in December of 1996. So how did she test negative on 2 different pregnancy tests?
So if someone's taking a pregnancy test at home, it could come out negative when they are in fact pregnant if they're taking the test wrong or the pregnancy test is expired.
In addition, Susan's periods had always been irregular and continued to be erratic during her pregnancy.
Most commonly when women have bleeding during pregnancy, it's due to the fact that there might be some abnormalities in the placenta.
Unlike her first pregnancy, Susan didn't feel any nausea.
It was just entirely different this time.
In fact, Susan didn't experience any of the symptoms she had with Josh.
I had no cramping, no frequent running to the bathroom.
It just was not noticeable.
I was about 6 foot tall, so I probably weighed like maybe 130, 140 pounds.
Amazingly, Susan didn't feel any movement from either of the twins. She even lost weight during the pregnancy.
Some babies kick a lot and some babies don't kick that much at all. That doesn't change because it's a twin pregnancy. And in fact, towards the end, there's even less space for the babies to move.
Now, 11 years later, Susan celebrates having 2 more people in her family because it wasn't long ago that she was mourning the loss of one.
My name's Larry Bowes. My name's Naomi Bowes, and we're twins.
Nowadays, Larry and Naomi are hooligans.
Even though they're very different, Naomi is a little more settled. Larry is just out there, loves to go full steam. But they're both of them are very precious.
I think God sent them to me for a reason. I think they were just meant to be here. For me, for them, and them for me.
was a really hard surprise to deal with. You know, shocked I was pregnant.
I'm already in shock that I have one baby, and now telling me I'm going to have another baby. I don't even know if I was there at that point.
The umbilical cord came loose, and so I wrapped it up, and I just held her tight and told her that I loved her.
It's amazing what a new life can do in a family.
The whole experience, I mean, it just brought everybody together. As Derek's mum said, like, it happened for a reason.
After I finally got off the phone with the 911 operator, it was probably getting maybe 11:15. So I picked the phone up, I called my mom. And I said, Mom, wake up. And she goes, what is wrong? And I said, we just gave birth to a baby in the toilet. She goes, Keith, calm down. Because the first thing she thought, because she remembers seeing Dawn saying, I can't handle this pain. And she asked me, and she goes, did you just say you had a baby? I said, yes. So all about then, sirens started flashing.
The paramedics arrive within minutes to rush Dawn and the newborn to the hospital.
Then the ambulance arrived and all of the paramedics came in. And the first paramedic into the room, he opened up this kit. And he looked at the kit, and then he looked at me, and then he looked at the kit and looked at me, and he goes, whoop, she's past that part. Whoop, she's past this part. Whoop, she's past this part. And then he just sat there and just stared at me for the longest time. And I was like, what do you want me to do? And another paramedic had walked into the bathroom, and he said, here, just go ahead and wrap the baby up. And so we wrapped the baby up in what looks like aluminum foil, and they told me just to hold her. And I said, okay, I'll hold on to her. And we held on to her, and then they couldn't get the gurney into our bedroom. And so I had to walk from the bathroom through the bedroom and into the hallway, and got me up on the gurney, and we were heading out of the house, and my mother-in-law met me at the front door. And she looked at me and said, why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? And I told her, I said, because I didn't know. I just didn't know that I was pregnant. And then off into the ambulance we go, off to the hospital.
And then all of a sudden it hit me. I almost collapsed. They said they sent me in the ambulance, and they said I started going in and out. Because everything just kind of hit me all at once. The instant that all happened, nothing was in my mind but make sure they were safe. My family was safe. I never even thought about maybe she was hiding something from me. Because knowing the person I was married to, there's nothing she would ever, the stories we've sat and cried over through her life and my life, there's nothing we would ever hide for each other.
Keith's reaction to all of this that I could see was just pure shock. He didn't know how to react, and his only reaction was to what I was telling him to do, because we just stood there and just looked at each other, and he just kept on looking at me going, you didn't know, we didn't know. And I was like, I know, we didn't know. And he goes, well, what are we gonna do? I said, well, no, we'll just do what comes natural. All your mommy skills come in there, you know. Hold her, cradle her, warm her, you know. Just make her comfortable. Medically, I can't really explain how it happened. I don't know.
If you sat down and talked to someone and they said, my wife went through 9 months of no labor that we know of, all of a sudden she gave birth to a 6-pound baby, I would say they're full of crap. To this day, I am dang proud of what you guys have done. It's just, the society doesn't see that, because they always say, oh, how can someone not know they're pregnant? Well, we're living proof that we knew we weren't pregnant until it happened, and there we were. No one in the emergency room, no one at my doctor's office knew that I was pregnant, and I was pregnant right there in front of them. And it was just an amazing shock that no one had done a pregnancy test.
I didn't put on any weight whatsoever, and like I said, I was skinny then, so size 9, 130, 140 pounds. Never got sick, not a day. Never had any cravings for any certain food or anything like I did with Joshua. I wanted fruit, fruit, fruit all the time. But nothing with them. Just no weird feelings, you know, like you get when you're normally pregnant.
I think Susan really felt very blessed to have Josh after Larry had passed away. But as far as having additional children, it was something that she never talked about. So we just assumed it was something that she wouldn't even consider. After Larry died, as I said, Susan had a hard time. She went through a lot of different emotions.
It had been several months since I had my period, but my period's been messed up all my life. You know, I might have one, then not have one just for several months, or have 1 or 2, not have another one 6 months. So, you know, when it went several, you know, months there, like 4 or 5, you know, it's not usually that long, you know, so. That's why I did the pregnancy test, just to make sure. But then when it came back negative, I thought, well, okay.
Susan was, while she was pregnant, she was actually thinner then than she had been at other times. She had lost the weight, and even though she was thinner and pregnant when I saw her, she just did not look like any woman expecting children. I would have never even suspected that she was pregnant.
I really had no idea, and I don't think she had any idea either that she was pregnant.
I never would have thought Susan was pregnant. Even whenever I saw her, she did not look pregnant. Of course, we talked real often on the phone, even though because of our distance, we weren't able to see each other that much. Even in just talking on the phone, she never laid a hint that she even thought that she could be.
You know, you think back and you think, well, that was a trigger. I should have seen that. But you really don't see it at the time. It's the last thing on your mind, especially when you've already done the home pregnancy test. I really didn't think why my jeans were getting tight because, well, you know, my weight has always been up and down. So it really didn't occur to me. Like I said, no more than they were tight. They weren't like, you know, cutting my breath off or anything. It never dawned on me that it could have been that I was pregnant, ever.
I wish I could explain how Susan didn't know she was pregnant, how we didn't know she was pregnant. It was just a complete shock for not just Susan, which I know more so than us, but for the whole family. It was like whenever she called to tell us this, we were like, okay, you know, she's trying to pull her leg about something. And it wasn't long before we knew, no, she was very serious. It was just a shock. And then, of course, she sent us the clipping out of the newspaper in Florida that they took of her whenever she did have the twins. So it was just amazing.
My belly didn't change at all. You would have never guessed. People that heard about it after I had the twins, they go, I just saw you. I know. Or where were they? I don't know. They were in there somewhere. And compared to what I am now, with my back, I think I've probably shrunk a little bit. I feel like I have. And I wouldn't want to even guess what I weigh now. Probably 225 at least. But twice as big now as what I was when I had the twins.